Hey guys, it's Christina here, and so today's video is going to be a pretty highly requested video where I'm going to be talking about Sephora, L'Oreal, and Shubby's deaths. As many of you do know, Sephora and L'Oreal were my two robo hamsters, and they died a few months ago, and Shubby was my winter white hamster, and she died back, I think at the beginning of June. So I decided to just kind of talk about this in a separate video because there are some things that I believe you guys can learn from this. It'll make more sense once I get into the video. And I will have a dedication video up for them probably within the next 3 weeks. Anyway, so I guess I'll start with Sephora and L'Oreal. I'll give you guys a little bit of background information on them. Sephora was my robo hamster, and she was the hamster that I started YouTube with. And then 6 months later, I got L'Oreal, and I introduced them, and they just got along together like they were two peas in a pod, best of friends. I remember they always slept together at night. They never had any little squabbles or fights. They were so perfect for each other. And then now fast forward to a few months ago, their deaths were super sudden. So I remember waking up and I slept past my alarm and I had to rush to school. I had like 10 minutes to get to school, to get dressed and rush to school. Usually I feed my hamsters in the morning, as you should, but that morning I was in such a rush it completely just slipped my mind, and I probably, even if I did remember to, I probably wouldn't have, just to save myself some time to make sure I got to class on time. And so then I got home and right away I just started studying again. I completely forgot about feeding my hamsters, which is a really bad thing and I feel so bad about it. But it was just one day, and they had foods left over from storing it, so they were fine, and I had a huge test the next day, so I just started studying right away. Then it was like 12 o'clock, and I realized that I hadn't fed my hamsters, so I went to go feed my hamsters. And so at that time, I had Sephora and L'Oreal's cage on the bottom, Chevy's cage was in the middle, and Spot's cage was on top. So I got to Sephora and L'Oreal's cage last, and then when I opened up their cage, I just smelled this really bad. If you guys have ever had a hamster before, you might have noticed this, but to me, at least, when they die, I can just start smelling this, like, particular stench that just smells terrible. So I hadn't seen my hamsters probably in, like, 36 hours, so they could have died any time between then, and that would have had plenty of time for their bodies to kind of start decomposing and make up a little stench. So right away when I smelled that, I knew what had happened, that they had died. So I started searching around for the bodies, and I found L'Oreal first in their air nest, and she was on her side with her right side up. And there was just this huge gash in her eye. Her eye wasn't there anymore. It was just a hole and a lot of blood. The blood was dried up, so I had figured that they probably had gotten into a fight maybe at least 12 hours or something before I had opened up the cage. And then I didn't find Sephora, so finally in the last house that I looked in, she was in there and she had no signs of being in a fight. I looked all over. She didn't have any little tufts of hair missing, no gashes, no scratches. She wasn't bleeding at all. So I have no idea why they got into a fight, because, I doubt it was over food, because I checked where they usually keep all their food, which is in their air nest, and there was still plenty of food there. They had plenty of water. So I have no idea what could have caused such a serious fight.
Are you munching on the house? You eating little munchies on that house?
So I was, pretty heartbroken by then, and it didn't make it any better that I had a big test the next day, so it's not like I could really spend too much time grieving. I had to get as much sleep as I possibly could, so I took them into the backyard and buried them in a special place under our apricot tree. So like I said, I have no idea why they fought and what could have caused the fight, because I watched them closely and they didn't have any other squabbles. If you guys remember, I did have 2 water bottles in there for them, 2 wheels, and I would feed them from this little bowl, but I would also scatter feed a little bit. They had plenty of houses and toys in their cage to keep them busy, and like I said, they had never gotten into any other squabbles, so I'm not sure what could have caused it. So their death was very sudden to me, which was pretty bad. Like Shubby's death, her death was also very sudden. So Shubby was my winter white hamster, and she was like my little angel. She was just so precious. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but Shubby was actually really small for a winter white. She was just slightly bigger than a robo hamster. Usually winter whites, I would say, are about 1.5 times the size of a robo hamster. I don't know exactly for sure, since Shubby was my first winter white hamster, but according to my friend who had had like 4 winter white hamsters, she was really small. And I also looked up some pictures online of winter whites and tried to compare them to robos. And when I did get her out of her batch of 3, she was the smallest one in there, and her other sisters in there were a lot bigger than her. So of course, since she looked perfectly healthy, I got her from the pet store. I didn't really think much of it. All I can say about her death was that one day I came home from school, and usually when I walk into my room, Shubby will like either hear the vibrations of my feet, I don't know, she might hear the vibrations of my feet or feel it, and she'll come running out of her cage and like come to the front of her cage and put her little paws up, wanting me to take her out and play. You know, sometimes she does like not feel it, and then usually I kind of tap on the front of her bin, and then she'll hear that, and then she'll come running out. But this day she didn't come running out. And Shubby had just passed her first birthday, and usually winter whites live over a year. Are you going to start destroying this playpen again?
Look at the little hammy paw and little hammy nose.
So then I opened up her cage, gonna look for her, and I smelled that same smell that I always smell when my hamsters died, and by then I was just so sad. I found her in at the entrance of her little green igloo. As you can see, Spot has a big one, and then she had a smaller one that she just loved to stay in. And I found her at the entrance, just lying there. And so then I went out into the backyard and buried her in around the same spot as Sephora and L'Oreal under the apricot tree. Like I said, again with Shubby, I have no idea what caused her death and why it came so sudden. She was perfectly healthy before. I'm thinking maybe she had some sort of weird like deformation or illness that caused her to be a lot smaller than normal and have a shorter lifespan because of that. I search up some things about that, but I can't seem to find anything. So if you guys do have any information about that, I'm pretty curious as to what it is. Maybe you guys have had the same case as me or a friend who've had it. So again, if you have any information, just please leave it in the comments below. So yeah guys, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye guys.
Say bye, Spot. You want to say bye? There we go. Bye-bye.